Hey everyone, Johnny here. We're going to continue on with our Raspberry Pi Storyteller app. So, as a refresher, if you didn't see part one, we have a function that gets a story from OpenAI's API, and we also generate a text-to-speech to read out the story that was created. And now today we're going to be working on a SQLite database to store these messages. So let's get started on that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a stories database to hold the stories that get created. With that, we need to connect to a SQLite database. We're just going to call it stories database. Make a cursor and execute some SQL code in here. If I can. Alright, so what we want to do is create a table. It doesn't exist, called stories. It's an ID, which is a primary key, an integer, a title, which is text, and a story, which is text, and the text-to-speech, which is also going to be text, and it's going to be you'll see why. We're going to save the path that it's on. So then we need to commit that to the database, and we need to close that connection. Right here, what we're doing is connecting to a stories.db database. Creating a table of stories, the primary key of an ID with a title, text of the story, and the text-to-speech path. The way we can create this, the stories.database. So if a file called stories.db does not exist, then we create stories database. So if this stories.db is not in this file path, which it's not, then it will create this table. So after we create a story, we want to add it to the database. So what we're going to do there is create another function. We're going to pass the story and the text to file path. On this, we need to connect using the SQLite3 module. We're going to connect to the stories database and get our cursor, and we're going to execute the SQL code. Insert into stories, which is this database right here that we just, or this table that we just made. We're going to insert the title, the story, and the text-to-speech with some values that are placeholders. We're going to get the story. The story is going to be a dictionary. We want the title. We want story text. And we want a string, which is the text-to-speech file path. Needs to be in parentheses. So then we commit this and close it. So let's test this out. We have up here move all this testing code down to the bottom. So this generate text-to-speech returns the speech file path. So let's do file path is to generate text-to-speech. What we're doing is we're getting a generated story, we're passing the prompt in. We're going to print it out to see that it does. We're going to get a file path from the text-to-speech, and it's also going to create the MP3 file. Then if our stories.db database does not exist, we're going to create the stories database. And after that, we can add story to db, and we will pass the generated story and the file. Open up our terminal, open up our virtual environment, and run. So here's the story. It's still getting the text-to-speech. Over here, it should. An error. Story title. Let's see. Title story. Here. Might already be a string. Okay, so the error is coming from, so the generated story is not JSON. So I need to turn it into JSON. Put it up here. And take this and change story. And that should work. Let's go ahead and delete everything we've got over here. Alright, now when we run it, it should work. We're getting the story from OpenAI. Bear and the ladybug. There we go. We have our stories database, the bear and the ladybug, in N54. So now we can go into our SQLite database. Can't remember off the top of my head. Tables. So we have our stories table. And look at the schema. So we have all in there. And we can do select all from it. Capitalization doesn't matter, but I see that. So there we go. Now we do have our story in our database. There's our integer, our primary key ID, the story, title, and then the story. Now that we know that that's working, we also want to be able to get a story from the database for the future. Let's create a new function to get story from database. We'll pass in the title. And again, we have to make a connection to the database. Gotta get a cursor. We need a result, which we need to execute. So select text speech. So here you can see this is the file path to the MP3. So we want the file path. File path of the story we want, and it's like SQLite no case will return anything that kind of matches, and you can see that in action here in a second. And we want to pass the title, a little F string here with the percentage sign. This percentage sign is SQLite, kind of like a wildcard, like anything after this, try to match it as well. So from there, we can use fetch all, so it'll get all of them. Return story, so this will return our story. So to test this out, you can say get story from the database, and the title, the bear. And if we run this, of course, I ran into this error before. When you're passing in a parameter, it needs to be like a tuple. So there needs to be a comma right here. I forgot to print it. There we go. Now we can retrieve the text-to-speech MP3 file and play it. But now we can we can create the database, we can add it, we can retrieve something. We also need to be able to delete. Okay? So let's make a function, delete story from the database, passing the title. Again, we'll make a connection to the database, get our cursor, and we need to execute SQL. So delete from stories where the title is like don't forget to make this a tuple. That's the title, comma, and then commit this and close it. We're not going to return anything on this. We're just going to execute this code. So now, just to confirm, let's open up a new terminal. Go into our stories database, select all from stories, and select title. We have Bear and the Ladybug. Now what we're going to do is delete story from database, the bear. So anything with the bear in it's going to get deleted. Take that, run it. Still going to print this out because it's getting the story and it's printing it. That's what it's telling us. But then it's running this code, and we can see that in here. We exit and maybe not. If that works. There we go. So apparently this collate node case will not work on here, which is fine. But anyways, so now we can create, retrieve. We're not going to need to update, I don't think, and delete from our database. That is how you create a SQLite database. It's really quick and easy. In the next one, we're going to refactor this, make it a little bit more dry, turn it into a class, and get it out of here so that this file starts getting smaller. But this video has gone on a little bit too long anyways. So thanks for following along. Hit that like, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.